Welcome to FootballGameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our NFL Week 9 preview between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Miami Dolphins. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with the Bengals.
Last week, what we saw from Andy Dalton is what many wanted to see from him for a long time. He was being decisive with his throws, spreading the ball around and spreading the field, and also avoiding the critical mistake. Now, this week versus Miami, the coverage will be a lot better in the back end, as guys like Patterson and Grimes are extremely talented and are definitely guys that can make a play on the ball. So look for offensive coordinator Jay Gruden to find ways to work horizontally in the passing game while going downhill in the running game, because quite honestly, the Bengals have to be able to run the football. They have to start running the football better if they want to be successful offensively moving forward. Defensively, the loss of Ray Maualuga will hurt, as he was playing a great game versus the Jets up until the injury. And we're going to talk about this word creativity a lot in this video. But one way the Bengals can combat the spread offense of the Dolphins is by using both Michael Boley, who's probably now going to be the starter at linebacker, and maybe Vincent Ray, the 4-year veteran that can step in and also play in nickel situations. So I think they have some options. They just have to be creative in how they utilize those backers in replace of Ray Maualuga. Now let's move over to Miami in this ball game, and perhaps offensively, it's time to take the ball out of Ryan Tannehill's hands and help out that offensive line by leaning on the ground game. That's the way you help out your young quarterback that's struggling with ball security, and that's another way you help out your offensive line that's struggling in pass pro. Run blocking is a lot easier, and quarterbacks love the time that's created in the pocket off of play action because of it. Defensively, I saw some creative things last week versus New England, more in particular with what they did with rookie first-round pick Deion Jordan. Sometimes they had him lined up in the slot. Sometimes they had him over tight ends. It's that type of creativity versus a team like Cincinnati that can put you in position to be successful in your underneath coverage and your pressure packages. I believe Deion Jordan can be a legit X-factor in this ball game and give that Bengals offense problems.
The Cincinnati Bengals will have to put pressure on the protection this week versus the Miami Dolphins because, one, the offensive line of the Dolphins is having problems in protecting up front, and two, Ryan Tannehill is holding the football entirely too long. So I think the Bengals can get pressure on Tannehill by putting pressure on that protection, and Miami will try to get creative in what they try to do to protect Tannehill up front. Let's show you basically what we have. The Bengals have to blitz every play or send one guy more than what they can protect to screw up the protection up front in hopes to get an incomplete pass, a turnover, or a sack. So they have to pressure the protection. Now right here, we're going to draw basically what the Dolphins are going to try to do in different blocking schemes. So let's just say we're going to send extra. The offensive line is in big protection, bob protection, which is body on body, big on big. So every offensive lineman is responsible for a lineman. Don't worry about the backers. They're going to try to throw off the backers. And the center's job is to take the first threat of the blitzing linebacker. So if this backer blitz, he has him. If this backer blitz, then he takes him. If both blitz, then they have a problem. They also have you also have two flat defenders in your nickel back and your strong safety. So let's see if they try to utilize the running back as the hot defender, then what you're doing, you're protected right here with your strong safety, but you're sending this linebacker here in the A gap. The center will easily pick him up, but once this running back vacates the area, this linebacker has free reign, which is called a green dog. So now you're sending two backers down the A gap. The center has to make a choice. One guy's going to come free, hopefully get into Ryan Tannehill. This is if they try to use a running back as the hot defender. Now let's move over here. And what if they try to utilize the tight end as the hot defender? Well, that's why you walk the defensive end outside of where your flat defender was, the strong safety, because he's going to have him manned up one-on-one. So if this guy tries to run the quick slant, the strong safety is there. And who's going to replace his responsibility? Your nickel guy. He's coming off the edge because you're still sending two backers down the A gap. Center picks up one. Now the running back is in the backfield to pick up the other blitzing backer. Defensive end is going to come around, hopefully getting that blocked by the tackle. So again, you're still sending more than they can handle. You got a free guy coming over, the nickel guy, and you're well protected if they utilize the tight end as the hot defender. Now down here, we're going to call this slide protection, where everyone's going to slide protect to the left to try to pick up and pick up the blitzing backer. You have the nickel guy coming off the edge, and we're slide protecting left to hopefully pick this up. But we're also trying to get the quick pass going to the right. So what happens is now you have the strong safety off the edge. You still have the nickel guy. And remember, this is still big on big. So these guys have to worry about the offensive line. So now you have a backside defender chasing Ryan Tannehill blindside, who has a propensity to hold the football long. And you also have a front side blitzer attacking the protection, which is the running back, who's picking up the free guy, which is the strong safety. And this is how you can get to Ryan Tannehill from the backside if they try to go with slide protection. And finally, we're going to show you turn back protection, where they're going to try to protect themselves versus the backside blitzer. We're going to turn back and protect backside. Turn back and protect backside. So now what happens is you want to have the defensive end, instead of crashing in, take an outside release because the quarterback is coming out. Back's going to have to make a choice because you have the strong safety and defensive end coming front side, basically unblocked. So whoever is coming free, the other guy is going to be blocked by the back, so the other player can't get to the quarterback. So this is how the Bengals can pressure the protection in hopes of getting Ryan Tannehill on the ground or causing a turnover this week as they take on the Miami Dolphins. The one way the Dolphins can help out a quarterback that holds the football entirely too long is by purposely moving him off the spot. And if they can do that versus Cincinnati, I think they can have some success throwing the football. And we're going to show you dash protection, where the quarterback is going to drop back in his drop and then dash out. Sprint out is where you start off at the snap of the ball, sprinting out. Dash is when you drop back and then take off. Now, in this situation, the Bengals do have a 40 front. Now, if the center is uncovered, then the center is also coming outside with you, along with the back leading around, where everyone else has turn back protection. And you also have your tight end in the route. Hopefully you hit him on any route that you want. Up front, play side guard is going to take care of this one technique. And if you're utilizing dash protection, you always want to go weak side. I'm a big fan of weak side dashing because you have the numbers advantage, and you also have the opportunity to hit big plays in the passing game and also turn it up as a running play as well, because let's not forget, Tannehill is an athletic quarterback. But let's say the Bengals want to stunt inside and have a blitzing outside linebacker, where, well, the stunt inside is going to have to get taken care of by the tackle. The blitzing linebacker will get picked up by the tailback. That's his responsibility to get any blitzing backer or any scraping backer. Let's say the backer wants to scrape and this backer wants to blitz. Well, this guy is going to have the center, then will have to cut short and pick up the blitzing backer here, while the tailback's job is to get the scraping backer. So you still have protection. It's all about communication up front. Now, if you have a situation, if the Bengals want to get creative in their fronts, and let's say they want to go to more of a 30 look, and they don't want to say they want to go to more of a 30 look for whatever reason. Now that both guards are uncovered, bring those guards out there as well, and that way you still have the tailback. Now you have three guys coming out as you dash out to protect Ryan Tannehill. But what the most important thing is that you're moving him off the spot. Don't have Ryan Tannehill drop back in 3 or anything outside of 5-step drops. You want him to go 3. You want him to go sprint out. You want him to want to roll out as well. You don't want him to take 5 or 7-step drops. If you have him do that versus Cincinnati, he's going to get sacked. So you have to purposely move him off the spot with dash protection, like we just drew up, sprint out protection, or only 3-step drops. Otherwise, you're going to have the same issues that you've had all season long. But if they can get him off the spot purposely, the Dolphins can have a big chance to win this game.
The X factor for the Bengals will be the offensive line in the running game. They're going against 2 outstanding defensive tackles this week in Miami, in Paul Soliai and also Randy Stark. So it's imperative that they fire off the football to create running room for both Gio Bernard and also BenJarvus Green-Ellis. The X factor for the Dolphins in this ballgame will be offensive coordinator Mike Sherman, and what he can dial up both creatively and with protection to protect Ryan Tannehill, whether it be with formation or run the football a little bit more. But he also has to stay creative in what he calls, because let's be honest, the Bengals defensive front may be one of the better ones in the game, and they're going to be active both versus the run as well as versus the pass. So Mike Sherman has to call an excellent game to keep the Dolphins in position to be successful. Now here are some coaching points for both teams in this ball game. For Cincinnati, you always want to send one extra on defense. Force Ryan Tannehill into a quick decision, and you may even get him on the ground. And you have to win up front with base. Base blocking, in my opinion, is how you defeat a team that's very strong at the point of attack like the Miami Dolphins. You have to trust that your guys can win one-on-one battles up front. And Michael Boley's comfort level as a starter this week versus the Dolphins will be key to the Bengals having success defensively. For the Dolphins in this ballgame, I will go with a lot more influence protection. That's your traps, your draws, your fan protections on the outside, and running the draw play behind it. Those type of plays can help you out versus an over-aggressive defensive front. And I would also stay multiple in formations. A lot of times you can protect yourself with formations, so the Dolphins have to find creative ways to stay multiple. And speaking of creative, you have to get creative on defense in matching up versus the Bengals double tight end sets. We talked about that earlier with Deion Jordan and how they could utilize him to match up versus those tight ends, but also how they could utilize those two safeties in Chris Clemens and Rashad Jones. I like the Bengals in this ball game. This game will be won in the trenches, and I can trust both lines of scrimmage for Cincinnati, their offensive line and their defensive front, getting pressure on Ryan Tannehill. And look for another encore performance from Andy Dalton, being able to spread the football around. This time, it will be more tight end based, as I think that's the matchup they can win. So I like the Bengals to knock off the Dolphins on the road. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Bengal fan forums and Dolphin fan forums for always showing football game plan support.